Hello my fragrance lovers and my good smelling companions. Dominic here for Fragrance Reviews, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about unisex fragrances, and I'm hoping to do this over a series of about 3 videos. I'm going to invite you, after you've heard my initial thoughts on unisex fragrances, to anybody who wants can advise me down in the comments or suggest a unisex fragrance that I may wish to purchase, so I can get my first actual bottle, my actual first sort of cologne, unisex cologne. And then perhaps the next video would be to review that for you, and then finally another video will be the pros and cons, to kind of say how I'm doing with it and what I think are the pros and cons from the experience of that. Of wearing unisex fragrances, and this video is my initial thoughts of should you give it a try, what do I think, just as a kind of an intro kind of a video to this topic. Now, okay, so a few things I'll note. They're not all that common to kind of, you go into the cologne store and you kind of go to the shelf of unisex fragrances and you pick one of those that you like. I have a few thoughts on this, and I'm not too sure whether I really like the idea or whether I'd be happy about them becoming more and more popular. I think I'm not too happy with the idea of them being very, very popular. That almost everybody pretty much has a unisex fragrance, as opposed to one that's categorized as sort of masculine or feminine. It might be a bit kind of old-fashioned. People might think we need to move on, but it's still kind of the trend is very much. They haven't caught on as much, or they're not as popular as perhaps they might be at this day and age. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that's the case. Okay, so some of the reasons why one might go for these types of fragrances is that perhaps they're wearable. They can be something you can just wear, something that just smells good, and a lot of them, to be honest, do smell really good. To be able to not have any particular leaning towards the masculine or feminine side, just a really good smell. I mean, traditionally it's sort of the floral notes are sort of classified as feminine notes, and for men it's kind of this dark woody or musk kind of thing, as a kind of basic kind of theory, if you like. And the unisex fragrances kind of blend those things. I believe they sort of blend the masculine and feminine, and then they make this kind of gender neutral sort of a smell. And at the end of the day, let's get scientific. I mean, there's no such thing, if you get right down to it, as a masculine or feminine scent, I suppose. I mean, it's us that attaches meaning to these smells. These like a rose just smells like a rose. It doesn't necessarily smell like a a woman. But I think I like the idea of being able to say this is a man's smell or this is a woman's smell, even though we could get really technical and say, well, that's us that decides that. And but the thing is, you see, people do get it. Like you can get such a thing as you spray on some men's cologne and you think, yeah, it's this, it's that, it's the other, and it's really nice and masculine. And that is a nice thing to be able to say, and those are probably the fragrances I'll definitely be sticking with. But I'm going to sort of explore a little bit with a few unisex fragrances, partly I think because I just think from the few that I've tried, they just smell really good. They're actually really nice, beautiful, attractive scents. Now they're not necessarily all great, fantastic. There's some really fantastic ones that are definitely meant for men, and not the other way around, and vice versa. So I'm thinking that the reasons I would buy them is that they smell good. I can just pick out something that I really love, perhaps, and something that's perhaps a bit unique, a bit more mystery to it, a bit indefinable. Some of them are a bit generic. If somebody uses Dior Sauvage, it's very generic, and it's very kind of a versatile. It can be used sort of any season, anywhere you go, almost any occasion, but you don't want somebody figuring out you're wearing Dior Sauvage. That's kind of, you don't really want that. You want people to think, he's wearing something, it's great. Now, you see, because I think unisex fragrances are not all that common, you get to just have a really great smell, but it's a bit indefinable. It's perhaps a bit more mystery to it. However, I don't like the idea of people kind of getting a nice whiff and then thinking, oh, there must be a woman in the room, and then they kind of come in and, oh, it's a guy. I don't know if that happens or not. Probably doesn't. But, the idea is that they smell good, and there's no kind of instant judgment as to whether this is a masculine scent or a feminine scent. So I'm sure it would be nice to have one or two on the shelf and to give them a shot and experiment with them. So I suppose what I dislike is the idea of them becoming so popular that they are the main thing. They become the default sort of cologne, because let's not be judgmental, let's not have masculine and feminine scents. I don't know why, but it might be the thing that I have heard actual people selling colognes that tell me that this is becoming more popular now, is that a lot of them are becoming unisex, so gender neutral scents that just smell good cologne. I think again, a lot of them, they just smell great, and there might be a bit of mystery to them, but do you want to be wearing something that hasn't got a bit more of a male punch to it, or in the case of women, something that's very distinctly feminine? Do you want something that's just a nice smell? It's obviously a fairly subjective question, and any ideas would be welcome. Are you happy with the idea of them becoming more popular? And because I guess fragrance reviewers will do more and more of that kind of thing if they catch on more and more. You see, I don't know how popular they are at this stage, but I think some of the attractive side is that they just smell really good. You can just pick out something that you just happen to like, and you can just have a generally good smell without and it might be easier for it to become your scent. That's another thing. It might be the case. I mean, there is one of them, I think it's called Eccentric Molecules or some such name like that, and basically it just sort of blends with your skin tone and creates a scent that's unique to you. So that's quite interesting, and that's perhaps the price range is pretty much the same, but that might be the attractive side to them. And then I guess the cons are, well, what might deter me and yourselves, I don't know, but is that you might just like the fact that if you're going to be using colognes, then you want something that's, you can still get something that's kind of your scent, and it's also got a very much a masculine tone to it. You see, it's you may or may not be more attractive with the actual masculine scent than with the unisex one. See, that's another bit of an open question, but it might be the fact that you just want to stand out more in a masculine way when you use your cologne, and you might have better confidence wearing one that you know is a masculine scent, and you might not want to have something that's too kind of indefinable. I'm sorry that was a bit mixed up, but that's just a few kind of initial thoughts, and if anybody has a suggestion for me to get a reasonable unisex fragrance, feel free to suggest it, and I may look into that. I may get a small version of the bottle and give that a try, or even just a big sample for a couple of weeks, and then I'll do a bit of a review, and then I'll kind of come back and then I'll give you kind of a final bit of a breakdown on that. And then I think I'll have covered this whole question, because it just sparked my interest recently, and normally, you know, I won't be necessarily reviewing those kind of fragrances, but I'm just doing a little tester here to see what people think, if there's any thoughts, any feedback on that. So nice seeing you again, guys, and I do have the Viktor and Rolf Spice Bomb sample on the way, so Joe, I'll be reviewing that when that comes along. Jack, there will be, if not samples, I might even get, the next bottle I might be getting is the Bleu de Chanel, and I do look forward to reviewing that for you. As for the 1 Million by Paco Rabanne, that is in the pipeline as well. So trying to catch up a bit on some of the requests that people have sent in to this channel, and so that's a little bit of what's coming next, hopefully. So until next time, fellas, ladies, march forward, smelling good.